other people like Rich Terrell at NASA come out some years ago and said that he has concluded that we live in a simulation and that it's a holographic simulation, which I've been talking about. And therefore, as he pointed out, if it's a simulation, it's had to be created by force. It's not a natural phenomenon. So who's behind it? And then you look at all these stories of non-human all around the world, in ancient world, etc., right up to present day, of non-human entities manipulating human society. And it's these non-human entities that are behind the simulation and behind the manipulation of human society. And so when people talk about the astral realms, or what I might call the fourth dimension or whatever, and then they talk, and as I've written my books in great length about the way that these elite bloodlines and these elite groups do their satanic rituals and do their sacrifices to the gods. And the ancients sacrificing young virgins, symbolic of children, to the gods. Well, who are these gods? And the way that, you know, the synchronicity of my life has gone, and the evidence that's been presented to me over the years, it seems to me that this is basically the structure. In the lower levels of this astral realm, fourth dimension, whatever you want to call it, these gods reside, and they're operating on frequencies outside of the tiny band of frequency called visible light, which we can see. I mean, if people realized that how little of the space they're looking at they can actually see because of the limitations of visible light and our ability to see, they would then start to grasp how entities can exist which they can't see, right? Because they're outside of the visual limits of human sight, which is virtually everything that exists.
Indeed.
So these entities that are operating on frequency levels outside human sight are driving this direction of human society. And they've set up this global cult, as I call it, which is multi-leveled and has a mission control and then many other levels to it going out into mainstream society to impose the will of these entities upon human society within the realm of visible light, the human world. And these entities have created a particular network of bloodlines. You can go back to, you know, the sons of God who interbred with the daughters of men in the Bible, and all these other different expressions in the ancient cultures of how some non-human gods interbred with humans. And they created a hybrid bloodline, which is part human, so that's what we see, and part non-human, part an expression of the gods, which take so often, it seems, a reptilian form. And so you've got these hybrid bloodlines. And, you know, one of the key things, if not the key thing, that has allowed humans to be enslaved en masse is to keep from us the nature of reality. You want the target population to believe in a solid world of enormous limitation, and anything beyond it, anything what the five senses, beyond what the five senses can conceive, you are going to call the paranormal. You're going to trash it. You're going to ridicule anyone who talks about it. You're going to call them dangerous and all that, because you don't want people to know how reality works, because if they did, they'd start sussing things that they wouldn't otherwise do. So you have because of that, when people like me come out and say, people have told me all over the world their stories of seeing a person that appeared to be human shapeshifting into a non-human, often reptilian, but not always, and then back again. They look at you, as my mother used to say, that they look at you gone out. What's this guy on? Because what they're saying, and I do understand it, is you can't shift from a physical solid body to another physical solid body. No, you can't. But that's not what's happening. That's the point. And if you keep the nature of reality from people, they'll dismiss what's happening because they can't understand why it's happening. And this applies not only to the mass of the human population, it applies to the academics and the scientists. They can't get it either. So how do we create this world, this matrix? In the same way that this computer in front of me takes the radiation field called Wi-Fi, which we can't see, and turns it into a completely different reality on the screen in front of me. I mean, people say, I say to people, what's the internet? And they'll say, well, it's pictures, and it's moving pictures, and it's graphics, and it's words. Yes, it is, but only on the screen. Everywhere else, it's radiation fields called Wi-Fi, and it's electronic codes and sequences and circuits. The only place the internet exists as we perceive the internet is on the screen. Okay. What this technological world today is doing is mimicking technologically the reality that we're experiencing. Because what it is, it's another level of this holographic simulation. Thus, each level of a hologram is an expression of the hologram. That every part of a hologram is a smaller version of the whole. So that's why you're seeing this technological world unfold, which is mimicking, it's another level of the simulation itself. So how do we decode it? What is the matrix? The matrix is information. The matrix is like a Wi-Fi field, and we're interacting with it. And if you look at how we create reality, this is mainstream science, they don't tell you. The foundation of this matrix, the simulation, is waveform information. And what happens and how the five senses work is the five senses pick up the waveform information. The ears are a classic with sound waves, but all the other five senses work the same way. They're picking up frequency information. Everything's a frequency in this reality. And they turn the frequency waveform into electrical information, which is then communicated to the brain. And different parts of the brain specialize in decoding information from each of the senses. And what the brain does then is form all that information into a digital holographic reality. And that digital holographic reality appears, I'm sitting here now, it certainly appears to be outside of us. So I'm looking into the world. No, the world I'm looking into exists here. Just as the world I'm looking into on the computer exists only in the computer. And so what we're doing is we're taking this matrix and information, and we're decoding it into a reality via the five senses, which is a digital holographic reality that only exists in here. And if you look at the Matrix movies symbolically, the Matrix was a construct. It was a construct of information. You look at the screens and all those numbers are going up and down on the screen as they outside the Matrix are looking at the Matrix. It's information. That's what it is. Now, those outside the Matrix in the Morpheus group, Neo, etc., outside of the Matrix, they didn't go into the Matrix physically with their bodies. They went into the Matrix with their mind. So the Matrix was connected with that probe in the back of the neck, and that fed to their mind information the matrix information, which they then started experiencing. And this matrix is exactly the same principle. Because it's holographic, every level is a different version of the same thing, of the virtual reality headsets. So you put a headset on, and now your five senses, especially if you have the gloves on and the audio as well, are now being overridden in terms of the reality they normally decode by the information coming from the headset. And you look at people, I mean, there's endless videos of it, when people, and they might be in an empty room like this, but when they've got the headset on, they're where the headset is telling them they are, and they're thrashing around and screaming. Why? Because the information is feeding them a false reality. Now, as I've said in the track, imagine you're born with a headset on. You're in the womb with a headset on because your mother's got a headset on. And then you come out of the womb and your parents have got headsets on. And then you go to school, the teachers have got headsets on. Everyone else in the class has got a headset on. You go to university, the academics and the professors have got headsets on, and everyone in the lecture theatre has got a headset on. You turn on the television and there's a newsreader with a headset on. There's a reporter with a headset on. There's a banker with a headset on. There's the prime minister and the president with headsets on. And then you go out into the adult world, and everywhere you go, you're meeting people with headsets on where they're getting fed the same information that you are. What are you going to believe? You're going to believe that this reality is what it seems to be when it's not. This is how the simulation works. And so what they've done, just to finish the point, with this cult and this interbreeding, is they've created these hybrid bloodlines which have dual information feeds. So the observer creates reality. When I'm looking at someone, for instance, in a human body, I'm looking at a field of information that we call human. And therefore, I'm going to decode that field through the process I've talked about into a human body. Oh, that's a human. But these dual hybrid bloodlines, the reptilian hybrid bloodlines of the cult and the royal families, that's where royalty comes from. That's why they're supposed to have special bloodlines. It's because that's what they are. Well, there's times when the non-human field of the hybrid becomes the dominant one. And at that point, the observer is first of all seeing a human field. Oh, that's a human. And then suddenly there's a shift.
Yep.
And to the observer that is perceiving and decoding this world as physical, someone has just shifted from a solid human body into, say, a solid reptilian body. And that's why when people describe, this is what I saw, everyone else says, you're mad, mate. That's impossible. No, it's not. Why? Because the shift is not physical. A physical shift's impossible. It's not physical. It's in the decoding mechanisms of the observer, where you first see a human field, so you decode human, and then it shifts to the non-human field. Now you're decoding non-human, and to the observer, someone's moved from a solid state of human to a solid state of non-human. That's not what happens. And it's really the great foundation of human control that so many people miss, to keep the nature of reality from us. That's how they've held us in servitude for so long.
Beautifully stated. Beautifully stated. Well, you know, David, just to underscore what you were saying about the matrix for non-believers, friends, you should know the speed of light is 2997245, and the latitude of the pyramid of Giza is 2997245. It's exactly the same. And that's the only evidence you would need to support what David's saying, that it is a program, It is an extraordinary one, doubtless, but it is one which we don't need to remain indentured into, provided we move into alignment with that Christed mantle or the Bodhisattva, or the however we want to put it. Your old friend Credo Mutwa was a very great Sangoma of the Zulus. They have a very, very different methodology to good Kabbalistic Jews, or to good Roman Catholics and their little bead, their prayer beads. Good humans abound everywhere. David, in parting ways, I've kept you for nearly an hour. I was promised 20 minutes, and as usual, I've stolen a lot more thunder than I'm due. What is the commonality of the human being as you see it in the simplest possible terms?
Well, the commonality is that in the end, we're all the same consciousness having different experiences. But I mean, just try to imagine how impossible it would be to set against each other in competition, in war, in conflict, in seeking to dominate, their opinion being the one that dominates everything. If everyone realized, actually, we're all each other having different experiences, chill, man. It'd be virtually impossible. So what you have to do is give the target consciousness a fake sense of self-identity, what I call phantom self. You get consciousness so disconnected, not least through the simulation and by the focus almost entirely on the five senses, you disconnect mission control beyond the simulation mission control from the five sense perceptual reality that people think is human. You get them to self-identify the I with their race, with their country, with their income bracket, with their culture, with their background. There's nothing wrong with that. It's an experience. But the thing is, if you fall for the trap, and that's what it is, systematically done, that you are your experience and not the consciousness having the experience, then what you do is you get caught in the Maya, the prison cell of limitation, of I can't, of it's not possible. And so we are at a cusp here of that which has sought to impose these fake personalities, these fake self-identities, and these fake realities upon us, seeking to go to a position of control through technology, which would make it even more difficult for people to break out of the perceptual maze that we're in. But at the same time, we have the opportunity at this same point of remembering who we really are, reconnecting, because the very memory of who we are connects us into who we are, because that memory of who we are creates the frequency which connects us in to the true I, the true self. And you start then to perceive the world differently, to perceive yourself differently. You start to see things you couldn't see before because you've gone from there to there. And this is the point we're at. And it's a big point of choice. If people want to go down the road we're going, well, that's a very, very dark road with a very sinister end. But they can go another way, and this nonsense can come to an end. Why? Because we are holding it together. Why are we holding this together? How are we holding this together? By our perception of reality. Our perception of reality becomes our experienced reality. That's why they know if they can get our perception, they get our behavior, they get our sense of reality. We've got to take our perception back. And that means no longer just taking what authority tells us without question, because what authority tells us is to keep us in this perceptual prison. Only we can get out of it by going our own way in terms of consciousness by allowing our consciousness to fly instead of remaining in these perceptual prison cells that the entirety of known human history has put humans in.
A ho to that. David, thank you. We've got, I counted over 30 countries looking in. I think it's probably closer to 40 thereabouts, thousands of people in the room, and just so delighted to have spent time with you again. Thank you for your time. And you need to go and get a hot toddy. We don't want you getting sick.
Yeah, I mean, my immune system's fighting something at the moment, but I'll be fine tomorrow.
David, God bless you, and thank you so much for joining us on Arise.
Cheers, Sacha. Always a pleasure. Bye.
Bye, brother.